Hello ladies and gentlemen, I've not been around much recently as I was having my brand new office built, as you can see a little bit of in the background. An office tour will follow, but for now let's focus on trading and have a look at some of my live trading from today. Just remember, this is institutional trading, looking deep inside the candlestick at what matters, real order flow. You wouldn't run a business without analyzing your competitors' transactions, so why people do that in trading, i.e. trade without having access to order flow, is pure insanity. They may as well play the fruit machines, but luckily for you, you're in the right place and you'll see how institutions do this. So let's get into it. Okay, so as you see in front of you, it's the live market, it is moving, it's my live account. And I'm about to take a trade, but I'm actually just going to pause it just for one moment, just so you can kind of explain to you what I'm actually doing, because it's very different to what you're probably used to seeing in a retail trading environment. This is how institutions trade. Obviously, a lot more information in terms of what is actually going on behind the scenes, which is really, really important. As I said in the intro, if you're running a business, you need to know what's going on behind the scenes. Otherwise, you might as well trade with a blindfold on, right? So we're not here to do that. We're here to take this seriously. Now, one thing I want to talk about is something called a poor low, okay? And that's what was happening here. Okay, something called a poor low. But before I get into that, just very briefly, I did end up going short. The market was selling off. It won't surprise you that therefore I ended up going short through the poor low. But I talked about stuff going on behind the scenes. It's really important just to mention, I mentioned it in my last video, that the Fed is meeting next week. Okay, and this is obviously going to be making the market nervous. Okay, whether you want to admit it or not, it is what's happening. All right, and if you think about the main two factors that the Fed will be looking at next week, it's going to clearly be inflation and the jobs number, right? And what's happened this week? CPI 6% year on year, even though it was less than the previous reading, actually month on month, significantly above where the Fed would want it to be, 0.5%. 0.5% price increase on the core in a single month is massive, right? And then we've got the CPI as well on a headline basis, which includes fuel and food, and that was up as well, 0.4%. And then also, in fact, I've taken that away. We look at the week before, look at the jobs number, 311,000 jobs, a lot of jobs being added, which means what? Wage growth, right? Average hourly earnings going up as well, which means more inflation. And then finally, we've got the Fed actually meeting next week. There you go, on Wednesday. So all these things are going to be weighing on the market. With this being the end of the week, people are not probably going to want to hold long positions into the weekend. That will all be weighing on the market. But the thing is, all those things are important, but you're not just going to hit sell randomly, right? I mean, you need to have a good execution, good timing, and that's just as important as having a good bias, a bearish bias. So the way institutions will be doing this, they'll obviously be looking for key opportunities in the market, and a poor low is a great opportunity to do that. Poor low, right? And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail today. Obviously, don't want to overwhelm anyone and throw too much information at you in one go. But a poor low is actually really simple. All it means, and again, without access to this information, you're never going to know. A poor low is actually an area that's been tested multiple times, okay? Like this. You see, it's not clean. It's not like that, right? You see that is an excess low. That's where there was clearly a lot of demand. It went down to this level, price level, say X, right? And it just shot back up. So a lot of buying came in. Clean buying. A clear balance in favor of the buyers of buying, right? So I guess you could say, more buyers than sellers. Here, it's just buying and selling, right? Everyone seems to be happy to trade at that level. So it wasn't they call it a clean auction, but all these are just fancy words for basically there wasn't any clean buying coming in. So the price likely has to go down further, right? So down further to find that point where we will find that clean buying to come in, because it wasn't here. All right, so prices is very rare, and I know this from experience. And again, if you watch the market enough, which not enough people do, you need to spend some time watching it and observing it without all those silly things on your chart. All right, look how clean it is. It just needs to be clean so you can observe it and actually see this stuff happening. These poor lows will get taken out. Obviously, that in conjunction with having a bearish bias is going to be what really matters. All right, it's not just one thing or another, it's everything combined in conjunction. Now, everyone knows this. I'm not really looking, it won't surprise you, for a retracement. I already know that most people are going to be looking at this as well. So I need to get into the market fairly quickly. Okay, so you're going to see that in just a moment. Just take some of this off for you. So you're going to see, there you go, I just entered the market. You can see there was so much aggression coming in. There was no point waiting for a retracement. Everyone can see this poor low is going to be either taken out or not, and it needs to happen, if it's going to happen, with aggression. So I saw the aggression coming in. Again, you won't be able to see that just here. You can see that actually there very clearly, a lot of aggression, as in, to put it in a nutshell, more sellers than buyers. There's no simpler way of putting it, right? I mean, no point kind of making it more fancy than it needs to be. A lot of selling coming in. You can see the aggression starting to pick up. You can see it here as well. Virtually no buying, right, in that spot. You can see I've set my targets down here, kind of like there was a previous area where we had a little bit of buying coming in previously. So I'm just kind of targeting that same region, and you can see the targets here. All right, so it will take a few minutes to play out. I mean, no longer than 5 minutes, I would say, but I'm not going to sit here for 5-10 minutes just letting you watch it. We can fast forward it a little bit, but hopefully that made some sense. That poor low, everyone would have been watching it, looking for that area to be taken out. The market isn't just going to hang around, okay? It's going to, as soon as aggression comes in, everyone's going to see that. Think about it. I'm not the only one who can see this. Everyone can see it. As soon as they see it, people aren't going to hang around. So as soon as I saw it, I knew I had to kind of get in quickly. Obviously, if it did pop back, get out. But, don't want to miss that opportunity to get in. So very small risk to make a decent move down, as you can see. Don't want to put on too many contracts because, again, it is kind of a breakout. They tend to be more riskier than obviously getting in after a nice retracement. We are going with the momentum. It's a momentum trade. So obviously you don't want to put on too much risk in case you get that snap back against you. But a decent risk worth taking nonetheless. What you can actually see, just before I end the video, we're almost there, you see. I mean, it's got to the point really. So nice short video, is you'll see some buyers kind of resisting, but they do get trampled on actually quite easily, as we'd already seen before where there was some buying up there. It does take a couple of minutes just to happen. So let me just fast forward it a little bit. You can just see there, actually, I moved one of my limits up slightly just because I did see, let me just show you, rewind it. You see that little bit of buying just sitting there. So I do move my limit up just above that area. You can see it there, someone just sitting there basically. You can see me just move the limit up. Yeah, I'm just about to do it. There you go. Now it popped up to 200. There you go. You see it just popped up to 200. So I'm just moving one of my limits up just in case, to be slightly cautious in case this buyer, and more than likely that's not a buyer. What it is that's also a seller who sold with me looking to exit, right? Because think about it. If they've sold, what do they need to do to close out the position? Buy. All right. So I can see there's likely interest here from people who've sold with me to take some profits. It's a decent move, about 7 points. So again, how you wouldn't be able to see this information if you were just looking here. So always say it, always, hopefully everyone does come over to the institutional side. They will at some stage, right? I mean, otherwise I don't see any other way to succeed in this business. So eventually you'll be here, but hopefully this will be kind of a good start for you to make your way over. Now I'm just going to quickly fast forward it so you can see how that played out. So I did get taken out there, the first limit, and you can see that buyer is sitting there. So I actually move my stop down. There you go. You can see me move the stop. Just because I can see this person just sitting there, you can see he absorbed a lot of contracts. That's profit taking. And sometimes that can, just move the market up. But on this occasion, I think that poor low was being viewed by so many people, and obviously going into FOMC next week, there was a lot of people who were nervous and likely not that many buyers around. Like I said, I think that was more, this area was more profit taking than anything else. So it just popped, came down, got my 825 in the bag within about 5 minutes. With on this occasion, not much risk. Hopefully that was useful for you. So hopefully you found that useful. If you want to see how I came up with my bearish bias, watch this video here to take your trading to the next level. Have a great week.